The first thing I did after being reborn was quietly move away my family's ancestral tablets. I replaced them with all kinds of wandering ghosts. Then I sprinkled dog's blood all around, all because in my last life, my boyfriend's childhood sweetheart insisted on coming with us to pay respects to my parents. From that day on, my luck went downhill, yet my boyfriend's childhood sweetheart was lucky again and again, even receiving an offer from a prestigious overseas university. Before long, I died of multiple organ failure for no apparent reason. After my death, my soul did not dissipate, and I saw with my own eyes her hiding in his arms and acting coy. Fortunately, you let me swap lives with Ding Ling Shuang. She has no idea how good her life really is. Now everything of hers is mine. I was filled with murderous hatred, so intense that I wanted nothing more than to kill her on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I had actually returned to the day when my boyfriend's childhood sweetheart was going back home with me to pay respects to our ancestors. 1. Sister Lingling, is this your family's ancestral hall? Bai Jinjin looked curious. I nodded and said yes, all our family ancestors' memorial tablets are here. Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou exchanged a glance, and excitement flashed in their eyes at the same time. He even put on a decent show of bowing in worship outside my family's ancestral hall. I waited until I took out the brazier and prepared to burn the paper offerings. Bai Jinjin also knelt beside me. Sister Lingling, can I burn some paper offerings for our ancestors too, just as a little token of my sincerity? I used to think Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou were way too close, and I was angry about it more than once. But in my previous life, when Bai Jinjin sincerely knelt beside me to burn paper offerings, I was even a little moved and felt that I had wronged her. But this time, I knew she had no such good intentions at all. She just wanted to use the opportunity to steal my luck, so I coldly refused. No need, Jinjin. These are my ancestors, not yours. It's more sincere if I worship my own ancestors myself. In the next instant, Bai Jinjin looked at Song Hezhou pitifully. Brother, it's just a little token of my sincerity. She spoke in a syrupy, coquettish voice, every word drawn out in a winding, twisting way. Song Hezhou immediately frowned. Ding Ling Shuang. Jinjin only means well. How can you be so ungrateful? I sneered inwardly. Well-meaning, if you're determined to burn it, then go ahead. I pretended to be cold and got up to go burn incense for the ancestors behind me. Song Hezhou immediately shot Bai Jinjin a look. The two of them, just like in their past life, hurriedly threw joss paper into the brazier. The flames roared fiercely. In my past life, I resented them for making the fire too large, leaving both of them in a state of panic. But in this life, I let them burn to their heart's content. After all, what I saw before me was not my family's ancestral tablets at all. My family's ancestral tablets had been moved to the new ancestral hall. The moment I realized I had been reborn with the tablets gone, it was naturally impossible to exchange fates, and my ancestors, of course, would only bless me too. Returning to school and parting ways with Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou, I immediately went to the hospital. I underwent a full physical examination. In the end, the doctor said I was very healthy. Hearing that conclusion, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. In my previous life, I died of multiple organ failure for no apparent reason, and they never even found the cause. In this life, that outcome would finally not repeat itself. As soon as I got back to school, I received a phone call. The research institute I had been thinking about day and night informed me that I had passed the interview and should report for duty as soon as possible. A state-level classified unit. In my previous life, I never received this notification, even until my death. On the other hand, Bai Jinjin received an offer from a prestigious university on her way back to school. Since the other party was pressing urgently, I quickly called my academic advisor to handle the procedures. Hearing that I was admitted to the research institute, my advisor was also happy for me and tried to simplify the process, completing everything for me in a single day. But I didn't expect that right after leaving my advisor's office, I would run into Song Hezhou. Jinjin hasn't received any offers yet, so I plan to take her out for a trip. He frowned, carefully considering his words, trying to make me neither angry with him nor stop him from leaving. I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. In my past life, I prided myself on being clever, but I was blind. I never realized from start to finish that Song Hezhou and Bai Jinjin were nothing but a pair of scheming, despicable lovers. Alright, I pretended to be displeased. Song Hezhou frowned and stared at me for a long while before saying, Ding Ling Shuang, has your family's ancestral tablet always been there? Without even thinking, I knew that Song Hezhou and the others had already grown suspicious. The suspicion between me and Song Hezhou and the others began at a roadside fortune-telling stall. The fortune teller said, I am blessed with ancestral protection in my fate. As long as I wish it, I will succeed in whatever I do. Not long after that, Song Hezhou began pursuing me. Frantically, I had completely forgotten about the fortune-telling incident and genuinely thought Song Hezhou truly liked me. Looking back now, He only got close to me because of Bai Jinjin. The one he really likes must be my family's ancestor, Song Hezhou. That's my family's ancestor. How could I possibly be mistaken? I go back every year to burn incense and pay respects. Song Hezhou seemed to think that made sense and finally said, "You're right, then I'll take Jinjin out for a few days." I nodded and offered Bai Jinjin some emotional support, then comfort her properly. But just this once, to avoid raising his suspicion, I didn't act too magnanimous. A flicker of impatience flashed quickly in Song Hezhou's eyes, but he still patiently comforted me with a few words before waving goodbye. I rushed back to the dormitory, packed everything up, and hurried to the airport. Not until the moment the plane cut through the night sky did my heart finally settle back into place. I dared not imagine what methods Bai Jinjin and the others might use against me if I stayed any longer and were discovered by them this time around. I will never again allow them to scheme against me as they please. As for Bai Jinjin, her misfortune has only just begun after all. Only I know that she has acknowledged a bunch of wandering ghosts as her ancestors, and I even splashed dog's blood all around the shrine of those wandering ghosts. Having long since squandered all my luck, nowadays, Bai Jinjin is nothing but unlucky, and even more unlucky. And Song Hezhou, being birds of a feather with her, will naturally become more and more unlucky too. 3. When the plane landed, I turned on my phone and immediately saw Bai Jinjin's WeChat Moments post. The two of them had gone on a trip somewhere. She was sitting on a swing, while Song Hezhou was pushing it for her with a doting expression on his face. My mind went blank for a moment. There was a time when Song Hezhou was also gentle, considerate, and caring toward me. Even on rainy days when I went out to buy food, he wouldn't feel at ease and would personally buy it himself, then have someone deliver it to my dorm. But looking back now, all of that was just an act he put on for Bai Jinjin. I let out a sigh, picked up my luggage, and saw the person who had come to pick me up. Knowing I was arriving today, they had arranged everything in advance. It's a confidential unit, the security level goes without saying. I felt much more at ease again after completing the onboarding procedures and settling in. I called my parents to let them know I was safe. Just after hanging up, I unexpectedly received a call from Song Hezhou. Song Hezhou's voice was urgent. "Ding Ling Shuang, where have you gone? Come to the hospital quickly. I've been running around non-stop these past few days, not eating or sleeping well, and right now my stomach is growling incessantly. I didn't even realize it at first. Hurry up, get over here." Song Hezhou shouted. Only then did I snap out of it. What happened? Jinjin and I got hit by the guest house collapsing. We're both in the hospital now. Get here fast. Over the phone, Song Hezhou sounded unmistakably annoyed. As for me, a chill settled in my heart because I knew this was only the beginning. I waited until Song Hezhou had no strength left to shout before saying, "I'm sorry, Song Hezhou, I can't come over." Ignoring his astonishment, I continued, "I've just arrived at my workplace and am about to start work." Before I could finish speaking, Song Hezhou cried out in even greater astonishment. "How is that possible? How could you possibly have a job? You absolutely cannot have a job. I saw you earlier. I know, you must be throwing another little tantrum because I brought Jinjin out to play. But get this straight, I'm in an emergency right now. Stop messing around." He was furious and flustered, and I grew even more indifferent. Not even feeling the slight displeasure I had when I saw him pushing Bai Jinjin on the swing, I spoke calmly again. "I really am working. I'm not lying to you. However, I've truly realized that you care more about Bai Jinjin than you do about me. In that case, let's break up." Without waiting for him to shout any more nonsense, I hung up the phone directly. The person who entangled me for a lifetime in my previous life, this time, it's finally over and my luck has returned as well. Song Hezhou, however, refused to give up and called again. I thought about it. There's nothing left to handle at school, and I've already arrived at the office. I simply turned it off directly. 04 After resting for a few days, I started working. The work intensity here is high, and the working conditions are harsh, but it doesn't matter. My career is steadily progressing. I am confident about everything. During this time, Song Hezhou and Bai Jinjin took turns calling me. I couldn't be bothered to deal with them, so I simply blocked and deleted them all. I thought there would be no further connection, but I accidentally heard from a close friend in the dormitory that Bai Jinjin had been having an extremely tough time recently. Last time, when she went out with Song Hezhou to play, the homestay suddenly collapsed while they were on the swing, nearly crushing them into a pulp. After being rushed to the hospital, Bai Jinjin's face was ruined. Additionally, Song Hezhou's arm was also broken for some reason. After being discharged from the hospital, the two of them actually spent tens of thousands of yuan on lottery tickets. In the end, they didn't win a single cent and even lost tens of thousands. Their last bit of living expenses was gone. When my friends found out that Song Hezhou and I had broken up, they were overjoyed for me. "Ling Ling, you don't know, They bought those lottery tickets to raise money for Bai Jinjin's facial reconstruction surgery. Now the money is gone, the surgery is nowhere in sight. And the two of them are borrowing money everywhere just to get by. If Song Hezhou comes to beg you, don't soften your heart. Back when you two were together, we could barely even tell who his real girlfriend was. I chuckled. Don't worry, I won't. In my previous life, after breaking up with me, Song Hezhou also took Bai Jinjin out to have some fun for a while, but back then, he said it was to celebrate Bai Jinjin getting an offer from a top overseas university in this life. They thought they would be very lucky, so they bought lotto tickets. Little did they know, I had already moved my family's ancestral tablets. I slowly let out a breath. They probably won't have the energy to come looking for me for a while now. Their troubles came so quickly that one problem was bound to follow another, but I hadn't expected that the next morning I would get another call from Song Hezhou. This time from a different number. This time, he was even more anxious, his voice almost breaking with tears. Lingling, come back soon, I miss you, and I really need you. I was speechless. Song Hezhou, do you have the memory of a goldfish? I've already told you, we're broken up. But I never agreed to that. Lingling, we have so many beautiful memories together. I love you so much. How can you bear to say it's over just like that? I'm still hurt right now. Do you really have the heart to leave me alone? Or is it that now that you've gotten into a big company, you no longer think I'm good enough for you? You don't need to use reverse psychology on me. It won't work. Song Hezhou, you were hurt while out playing with Bai Jinjin. If anyone should be taking care of you, it should be her. Besides, we broke up a long time ago. After saying that, I was about to hang up and switch to a different number. At that moment, Bai Jinjin's sharp scream suddenly came through the phone. Dingling Shuang, tell me, are those ancestral tablets not from your family? Are they, or aren't they? 5. I hadn't expected them to suspect the ancestral tablets so quickly. I pretended not to understand. What nonsense are you talking about? Why would I go out of my way to worship someone else's ancestral tablets when I have nothing better to do? Bai Jinjin, are you out of your mind? Don't tell me I couldn't even find my own ancestral hall. Bai Jinjin paid no attention to any of that at all and screamed hysterically, impossible, keep pretending, that is absolutely not your family's ancestral tablets. You killed me, Bai Jinjin, I really don't understand you. I sneered inwardly, why would I harm you for no reason? You insisted on following me home to pay respects to my ancestors. How is that me harming you? No, that must not be your family's ancestral tablets. So what? What does that have to do with you? I retorted. As soon as these words were spoken, the other end of the phone fell silent. I could tell that both of them were even holding their breath. Dingling Shuang, whose memorial tablet is that? Exactly, whose is it? Bai Jinjin was frantic and on the verge of breaking down. You're overthinking it. It's just my family's ancestral hall, I said calmly. I couldn't understand why they were in such a hurry, but it was clear there was something fishy going on. No, Dingling Shuang. Bai Jinjin clearly had more to say, but I couldn't be bothered to listen any longer and simply hung up the phone. However, I learned from my parents that the door of the old ancestral hall in the village had been smashed. All the ancestral tablets inside had been stolen. Upon hearing this, I immediately knew it must have been done by Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou. They must have noticed something was off. After all, not only had I not encountered any problems, but I was also getting better and better. Meanwhile, she and Song Hezhou had been plagued by continuous bad luck. The villagers had already reported it to the police. Although what was stolen were not our family's real ancestral tablets, the incident still had a severe impact. The police will continue their investigation. The next morning, on a rare day off, I received another call from Song Hezhou. Dingling Shuang, that wasn't your family's ancestral tablet at all. He was beside himself with rage. You lied to us. I almost laughed out loud. Song Hezhou, are you out of your mind? What does it matter to you whether it's my family's ancestral tablet or not? Song Hezhou was left speechless. I continued, besides, we've already broken up. If you keep harassing me, I won't hesitate to call the police. But Song Hezhou simply wouldn't listen. He acted like a madman, screaming hysterically, hurry up and tell me. Say it, where exactly are your family's ancestral tablets? Tell me, why should I tell you? What does my family's ancestral tablets have to do with you? I knew it, they were already nearly losing their minds. And this had only just begun. They were definitely desperate to know the location of my family's ancestral shrine. As soon as he said that, Bai Jinjin asked even more anxiously, Dingling Shuang, do you know something? Know what? I asked, feigning curiosity. You must know. You must have tampered with the ancestral tablets in your family's ancestral hall. That's why I become so unlucky. Bai Jinjin was on the verge of a breakdown. I smiled faintly. Oh, what nonsense are you talking about? It's the 21st century now. We should believe in science. 6. Ignoring their frantic shouts, I hung up the phone again. I also dragged this number into the blacklist. A sense of relief washed over me. I didn't even need to think to know that at this very moment, Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou must be having especially bad luck. Sure enough, a few days later, my friend called me again. He said that Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou had owed too much money. The debt collectors were now blocking the school gate. Sometimes they would even stop the cars of passing school leaders, demanding that they pay Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou's debts for them. The school leaders could no longer tolerate it. Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou were expelled one after the other. The two of them had no choice but to move out of the school. However, the moment they stepped outside the school gate, they fell right into the hands of those people. Bai Jinjin was threatened by them. If she didn't repay the money within a week, they would send her to work in a commercial KTV, selling herself to pay off the debt. Both of them are being driven to the brink of madness right now. Lingling, Song Hezhou is looking for you everywhere right now. He must be trying to get you to help him repay the money. Stay clear-headed. You mustn't let him take advantage of you. Her friend warned her repeatedly. I nodded repeatedly in thanks, but only I knew that their frantic search for me now was not just to get me to help pay their debts, but also to locate my family's ancestral hall. However, they probably couldn't even dream that, as early as the day I was reborn, I had already coordinated with the village's route-seeking team to relocate the ancestral hall. I even repeatedly explained to the ancestors and then drenched the exterior of the old ancestral hall with dog's blood. This was because, according to the information I found, doing so could rebound on those with vile intentions. That's why Song Hezhou and Bai Jinjin ended up in their current predicament. Bai Jinjin acknowledged a bunch of wandering ghosts as her ancestors, so she can only become more unfortunate from now on. I put away my phone but was suddenly notified by the guard that someone had come to see me. Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou, somehow or other, actually managed to find this place. I communicated with my supervisor and went down to meet them. I had just stepped out to show my face when the two of them rushed towards me urgently. Dingling Shuang, have you gone mad? You've ruined us. Bai Jinjin shouted at me angrily. I put my hands in my pockets and looked at them coldly. I ruined you? When? Where? How? Bai Jinjin was stunned for a moment, then pointed at me even more furiously and scolded. It was you. It must have been your doing. Dingling Shuang, all the bad luck I've had recently is because of you. You're too vicious. I just wanted to borrow a bit of your luck, and you actually wanted to kill me. As my friend had said, her face was completely ruined. I'm afraid even at a KTV bar, no one would pick her. As for Song Hezhou, one arm hung limply, his face deathly pale, and he was still limping. Hearing Bai Jinjin's words, I nearly laughed in anger. Who gave her the nerve to still be so self-righteous at a time like this? In my past life, I was actually killed by their mischief. Now, she's the one playing the victim and accusing me first. Bai Jinjin, I don't understand what you mean. I continued with my previous explanation. She glared at me with hatred, as if she wanted to devour me whole. How could you possibly not know? It's you who caused all this misfortune for me. You must take responsibility. I shrugged and spread my hands helplessly, saying, Bai Jinjin, I really don't know what you're talking about. I'm very busy and don't have time to indulge in your nonsense. After saying that, I prepared to leave. Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou suddenly rushed over, grabbed me, and wouldn't let me go no matter what. 7. You can't leave. Song Hezhou held me tightly from behind. Dingling Shuang, it's all your fault. You're the one who made Jinjin like this. You have to take responsibility. I rolled my eyes. How did I cause it? Tell me. Dingling Shuang, at a time like this, we've already consulted a master. Those ancestral tablets in your family's ancestral hall aren't your ancestors at all. Bai Jinjin yelled at me. How is that possible? I exclaimed. This can't be. You must have made a mistake. The two of them glared at me, their faces filled with rage. Song Hezhou even stooped down, hoisted me onto his shoulder, and was about to carry me off to be beaten. Dingling Shuang, no matter what, you have to give us an explanation today. He turned to leave, but I laughed. These two fools have no idea what kind of place they're in right now. I immediately shouted to the guards on duty not far away. Help, help, they're trying to kidnap me. The heavily armed guards immediately rushed over, their gazes sharp and piercing, like unsheathed blades. Song Hezhou and Bai Jinjin were instantly frightened and hurriedly let go of me. Comrade Ding, what's going on here? The guard asked me. I pointed at Song Hezhou. This is my ex-boyfriend, but we've already broken up. He keeps pestering me, and now he's trying to force me to leave. The guard frowned, his cold gaze fixed directly on Song Hezhou. The two of them turned pale, swallowing nervously. In the end, unable to withstand the guard's imposing presence, they fled. The guard finally relented, comforting me by saying I didn't need to worry, and that if Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou ever showed up again, they would definitely be driven away. I also breathed a sigh Of relief, I was once again convinced in my heart that this place was truly safe. I went back to continue resting, but then I received a message from Bai Jinjin. Ding Ling Xuan, I was wrong. I shouldn't have tried to borrow your luck, but I've already been punished now. Please save me. The master said only you can save me, otherwise, I might very well die. I watched coldly. In my previous life, I was diagnosed with inexplicable multi-organ failure, but at that time, Song Hezhou was only focused on being together with Bai Jinjin, and never once came to the hospital to see me. Ding Ling Xuan, just tell me the location of your family's ancestral tablet. If you tell me, I can change my luck. I deleted it directly and also blocked this number again. At the same time, Song Hezhou didn't stay quiet either. He kept sending me messages, apologizing and begging for mercy. However, my heart no longer felt any disturbance, but compared to Bai Jinjin, I was slightly more merciful towards him. I said I didn't know what was going on with my family's ancestral hall either. I go to that place to pay respects every year. If they're really uneasy, they can go ask around in our village. Then blocked and deleted again. However, I turned around and made a phone call to the village. I told the clan leader that for some reason, classmates had been asking me about the ancestral hall recently, and it was likely related to the people who stole from the old ancestral hall, so they must keep an eye out and not to mention to anyone about moving the ancestral tablets. The clansman nodded repeatedly, praising me for being thoughtful. My research work was progressing very smoothly, and my supervisor was very satisfied with my diligent and hardworking attitude. I also grew more confident, believing that I would develop better and better. Not long after that, I received another call from the village. They kept a close watch on strangers coming and going in the village every day and indeed caught someone. After police interrogation, they admitted to stealing the ancestral tablets from the ancestral hall. Although the stolen ancestral tablets were fake, the impact was extremely negative, and the police stated they would deal with the matter seriously. 08 Several days later, my parents informed me through indirect channels that Song Hezhou had already confessed, but he repeatedly requested to see me one more time. I didn't agree immediately, but waited until my research work was finished. I took advantage of the holiday to visit the detention center. Completely different from the once elegant young man in white, Song Hezhou had shaved his head, wore a brown-yellow prison uniform, and his gaze was gloomy. He stared at me intently, like a demon crawling out of hell. Ding Ling Xuan, do you know how much you've hurt Jinjin? How much you've hurt me? What did Jinjin do wrong? She just wanted to change her luck a bit. Why did you have to harm her like this? She's been taken away by those debt collectors now, and she's not in good health. She's just a girl. Don't you feel heartbroken that she's being treated like this? All of this is your fault. Watching his utterly broken yet helpless state, I couldn't help but smile. Song Hezhou, after applying so many times and waiting for so long, is this all you wanted to say? If that's the case, then I have nothing more to say to you. I stood up. You might not know this, but those are the ancestral tablets of our clans. Forebears, passed down through generations, they hold profound significance for us. Our village has already discussed the matter and decided on severe punishment, so, what likely awaits you is about 5 years of imprisonment. You'd better start thinking about yourself. Song Hezhou's face instantly turned very grim, but his love for Bai Jinjin was genuine. Even at this moment, his thoughts were still with her. Ding Ling Xuan, because of you, Jinjin has already been taken away. Her entire future might be ruined. Don't you have even a shred of compassion? I'm just begging you, hoping you can save her. Alright, you begged, I said. I refuse. In my previous life, if they hadn't insisted on borrowing my family's luck, I wouldn't have died so tragically back then. Did they ever spare me a single glance? Did they ever share even a little of my suffering? He shook his head repeatedly, his eyes filled with disappointment. After a long while, he continued despairingly, why? How did you know about our plan, and when did you secretly take away your family's ancestral tablets? Tell me, tell me. He frantically pounded the table in front of him, nearly breaking down. It forced the prison guard to hold him down tightly, yet he still stubbornly kept looking at me. He was genuinely curious, and he truly wanted to know the answer. From the moment he started chasing me, he was trying to scheme against me, only to end up shooting himself in the foot and dragging both himself and Bai Jinjin down with him. This was so far from the outcome they had imagined. Song Hezhou, if you hadn't wanted to harm me from the very beginning, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Now just sit in prison and think about it. I turned and left without looking back again. Song Hezhou panicked, shouting nonstop, Ding Ling Xuan, I beg you, I'm begging you, save Jinjin, save Jinjin, you can definitely save her. I couldn't help but sigh with such genuine feelings between them, and neither being truly foolish. If they worked hard, what couldn't they accomplish? But now, you want me to let Bai Jinjin go? Dream on. These two people, who caused my miserable death in my past life and left my parents to suffer a lonely half-life after losing their only child. I won't let either of them off. Besides, do they think the backlash is that simple? Bai Jinjin will definitely die, and Song Hezhou, tainted by her bad luck, certainly won't come to a good end either. I stopped paying attention to their messages and threw myself into work. Focusing on my research, however, messages from my friend who was still at school kept coming one after another. Bai Jinjin is dead. My friends seemed to find it terrifying and unconsciously lowered their voice. She and Song Hezhou owed too much money and couldn't possibly pay it back, so they sold her off. At first, she could still work as a hostess at a club, but later, when no one was said to be tipping her, she was sold to some underground place. I heard that after giving birth to several children in a row, her body was ruined, and then she voluntarily became an organ donor, the kind where every last bit of her was hollowed out. I felt a chill run down my spine. After hearing the news in prison, Song Hezhou went completely mad, hitting and cursing at anyone he saw, which provoked widespread anger. But the other inmates in the prison weren't easy to mess with either. In the ensuing fight back, he was struck in the cervical spine and died on the spot. My friend sighed repeatedly, feeling relieved that I had broken up with him early. Otherwise, at this very moment, I would probably be dragged down and ruined by them. I also slowly let out a sigh of relief. To this day, they have finally received the retribution they deserved. As for me, as long as I work hard and focus on my research, I can still have a bright and promising future. A few months later, I went home to visit my family. While shopping with my mom, I unexpectedly saw a fight break out. Just as I was about to take my mom and leave, I heard a familiar name: Bai Jinjin and Song Hezhou. They were dead, but their parents were now fighting each other. The reason was simple. Bai Jinjin's parents believed that ever since she got together with Song Hezhou, she had been plagued by terrible luck, and now she was dead. The Song family absolutely had to compensate them. The Song family parents insisted that their own son was the one who had suffered the loss. They insisted that the Bai family parents pay compensation, otherwise, they would have Bai Jinjin's body taken back. And they were not going through with this ghost marriage. Once two people who had loved each other deeply, yet their parents from both families were now arguing endlessly over who had suffered more. No wonder they raised children like Song Hezhou and Bai Jinjin. So it runs in the family. I curled the corners of my lips and left with my mother. I wondered whether, when the two people who had been bound to each other for a lifetime met underground, they would harbor resentment like their parents did. The end. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away. The next story is even more exciting. In my previous life, my husband suddenly decided to go to Africa to volunteer as a teacher. He was gone for 5 years. I worked tirelessly to manage the company. My health completely collapsed, and I ended up in the ICU. Meanwhile, my husband was embracing his white moonlight, unattainable love, and my precious son, whom I cherished, was made to remove my oxygen mask with his own hands. In a daze, I was reborn, back to the moment when my husband was adamant about going to Africa to volunteer. In this life, I sent him straight to a ruthless mining camp controlled by an African warlord. Want to go to Africa? Then don't bother coming back, honey. You know, I've always been a caring and idealistic person. This volunteer teaching trip to Africa is my chance to put my ideals into practice. It's a perfect opportunity to live out my ideals. My consciousness gradually returned to my body, and all sensations shifted from vague to clear. Where am I? The scene before my eyes also gradually came into focus. This looks like the living room of my family's villa, but the furnishings are vastly different from how they are now, yet it feels so familiar to me. I suddenly realized that the layout of the living room is from 5 years ago. It felt like I was sitting on someone's lap. When I turned my head to look, it was my inhuman husband, Tan Jiqiang. Ah, I screamed in terror, abruptly stood up from him, and ran all the way to the other end of the living room. Chin, what's wrong? A woman I had missed for years, and my heart hurriedly ran out from the kitchen. The moment I saw her, my eyes instantly welled up with tears, and even my fear of Tan Jiqiang faded considerably. Mom, I called out with a sob in my voice, then trotted towards her and hugged her tightly. Mom didn't understand what was happening, so she could only hold a spatula in one hand while gently patting my back with the other. Oh dear, don't cry, don't cry. What's wrong, my good girl? Did something upset you? Tell Mom. At that moment, Tan Jiqiang also walked over to me and asked softly, Yuchen, what's wrong? Hearing that voice that sent chills down my spine, I immediately turned around and shielded my mom behind me. What do you want? Don't come any closer. A flicker of something strange passed over Tan Jiqiang's face, but he quickly returned to normal, his eyes once again filled with affection. Honey, are you upset because of what I just mentioned? It's okay, some places in Africa have phone service now, we can call each other regularly. It was then that I slowly came to my senses. this scene, it seemed exactly like the time 5 years ago when Tan Jicheng said he was going to Africa to teach. Could it be? I've been reborn. Even the heavens thought I was too pitiful and wanted to give me a chance to change my fate. I quickly calmed down. In this life, I can see clearly who loves me and who harms me. It's nothing. I just suddenly felt unwell and need to rest. Honey, you go ahead and take Xianxian to his extracurricular class. I also tried my best to smile at Tan Jicheng and explain to him, seeing me like this, he couldn't say much more and could only go sit beside Tan Xingxuan, absent-mindedly playing with him this way. He wouldn't damage his image as a virtuous husband and good father. Looking at my mother before me, I couldn't hold back my tears again. Mom, I'm so happy to see you again. Mom was a bit puzzled, but still smiled with affection. Silly girl, we see each other every day. You make it sound like we haven't met for years. You do seem a bit off today. Go rest first. Come eat when the meal is ready. Today, I made all your favorite dishes. Okay, I sniffled and showed a genuine smile. I'll be waiting. Mom, it's really been 5 years since we last saw each other. It's so good that you're still here. I went upstairs to the second floor. But I didn't go to the bedroom because it still carried Tan Jicheng's scent, which disgusted me. Instead, I went to my own study, where there was a mirror. In my previous life, due to overwork, various bodily functions had already developed issues to some extent. This caused my appearance after removing makeup to look several years older than my actual age now, although I'm already in my 30s and have given birth to a child. A life of comfort and habits of consistent fitness, wellness, and skincare make me look no less vibrant than I did back in my university days. It's been a long time since I've seen myself at this moment. I almost feel captivated by the beautiful woman in the mirror. After indulging in a bit of self-admiration, I settled into the single armchair in the study, sorting through the current situation. Today's scene is exactly when Tan Jicheng suddenly announced 5 years ago that he wanted to go teach in Africa. Back then, of course, I strongly opposed it. Why run off to such a distant place when we had a perfectly good life? But he was very firm. First, he tried to persuade me, then his attitude grew increasingly forceful, and in the end, he even threatened divorce. At the time, my parents were furious and even advised me to just get a divorce, but I didn't want our good family to fall apart like that, so in the end, I had no choice but to agree. However, not long after Tan Jicheng left for Africa, my parents passed away in a car accident. Having been pampered at home all along, I had no choice but to grit my teeth and keep my parents' company afloat. Later, as the overall economy declined, running the business became increasingly difficult. To ensure my parents' hard work didn't go to waste, I consistently slept only 4 or 5 hours a day for a long time. I spent at least 15 hours on work while also ensuring I had time to accompany my son, Tan Xingxuan. This was the only way to let my son grow up in a healthy and relaxed atmosphere, enabling him to excel all the way and get into a prestigious university. During this period, I always hoped Tan Jicheng would end his volunteer teaching and help me take care of the family, but he always refused for various reasons, and later even bluntly accused me of ruining his dreams. He would only contact me when he needed money and said that after using this money to assist local refugees, he would return to the country. But after receiving the money, he soon fell silent again. Gradually, I lost hope in him too, and instead devoted all my energy to my career and raising my son. Just as the company began to thrive and my son was admitted to a prestigious university, the nightmare arrived. When my son was 18 years old, which was the 5th year after Tan Jicheng left, I suddenly fell seriously ill and was admitted to the hospital ICU. When my son came to visit me, I was still quite happy, but soon, my smile froze on my face. Behind him stood 2 more people, one of whom was my husband, whom I hadn't seen in 16 years, and in his arms, he held another woman I didn't know, the 2 of them looking intimate and close. My son was also chatting and laughing with them, as if they were the real family. By then, I was already too weak to speak, and could only shift my angry and confused gaze between them. Tan Jicheng looked at me, not with the affection he once had, but as if I were an enemy. Didn't expect this, did you? This is your punishment for tearing me and Lin Chuchu apart. Then he told me that all these years, he hadn't gone to Africa at all, but had been living happily with his white moonlight, Lin Chuchu. The son I have always cherished as my treasure, Tan Xingxuan, is actually the child of him and this woman beside him, and the child I gave birth to was a daughter, whom he swapped with Tan Xingxuan and then directly abandoned at the entrance of an orphanage near the hospital. No wonder he insisted that I have a cesarean section on this specific day back then, claiming it was an auspicious day that would bring good luck to the child. In reality, it was all preparation for him to swap the children. Just in the past 2 years, after I completely cut off his financial support, he sought out Tan Xingxuan and told him the truth. With the proof from the paternity test, he quickly acknowledged Lin Chuchu as his biological mother and began preparing for the happiness of their family. A year ago, Tan Jiqiang obtained a drug from abroad. Long-term use of it can cause severe cerebral hemorrhage. At that time, Tan Xingxuan was in his senior year of high school, and he would personally bring me a glass of milk every day. I was deeply moved at the time, but I never expected it contained a deadly poison. After venting all this, Tan Jiqiang had Tan Xingxuan personally remove my oxygen mask. You've raised Xingxuan so well over the years. To thank you, let Xingxuan personally send you off. Tan Xingxuan then straightforwardly removed my oxygen mask. Auntie, you thought you were doing me a favor, but in reality, I've always resented you. The family is so wealthy, yet you wouldn't let me be a carefree playboy. What's the point of earning all this money? Lin Chuchu laughed. Haha, she earns so much money, she can make our whole family live happily ever after. Tan Jiqiang and I started dating in college. To be honest, back then, I didn't really think much of him. He came from a poor family. His grades were average, and his only redeeming quality was his handsome looks. As for me, I was known as the campus belle at the time. I had excellent grades and multiple talents, winning various arts awards left and right. We met by chance once, and after that, he launched a relentless pursuit of me. Of course, I rejected him. After all, among the many guys chasing me, quite a few were good-looking, and he didn't really stand out among them. But despite my repeated rejections, his enthusiasm never waned. He pursued me for a full 3 years, until one day I heard from a classmate that all the money he spent on sending me breakfast, flowers, and gifts over the years, it was saved up from the money he earned through work study. He didn't spend a single cent on himself. He used it all to pursue me. Although I never accepted any of these, he still kept giving, kept confessing his love in all kinds of ways. Finally, I was moved by his sincerity and agreed to date him. During our relationship, he was also the absolute perfect boyfriend. If I said east, he would never go west. If my nose twitched, he would promptly hand me a tissue. I felt that in this world, apart from one's parents, it was hard to find someone who loved you this much. So despite my parents' opposition, I still married him. I must have been out of my mind since he said he wanted to go teach in Africa. I decided to let him have his way. Just as I was thinking this, Tan Jiqiang pushed open the door to my study and walked in. Honey, are you feeling any better? I hope you can support me in what I mentioned earlier. He was still looking at me with deep affection, which made me feel sick to my stomach. Suppressing my discomfort, I shook my head and expressed my opposition, just as I had in my previous life. I don't agree. We've only been married for a few years, and Xingxuan is still so young. Do you really want me to live like a widow? Tan Jiqiang tried to persuade me a few more times, using different approaches. Seeing that I still firmly disagreed, he began to grow impatient. Yu Chen, ever since we met, I've always been completely devoted to accommodating you. This time, can't you support my dream for once? Is that really so hard? I cast a sidelong glance at him. Back then, you went to great lengths to beg me to be with you, and I agreed. Now you're insisting on leaving me, and I still can't refuse. Tan Jiqiang was momentarily at a loss for words, then said in anger and embarrassment, Jia Yuchen, I wanted to be with you because you used to be poised, generous, and considerate. I never expected you to be such an unkind, selfish person. If that's the case, we might as well just get a divorce. Tan Jiqiang seemed to be speaking in anger, but his eyes were carefully observing my expression, and I became visibly flustered. No, husband, we can't get divorced. I really don't want to leave you. How about this? Can you give me a few more days to think it over? Seeing this situation, the corner of his mouth twitched upward uncontrollably for a moment, but he quickly resumed his angry demeanor. Fine, I'll give you 2 more days. I've said it many times, this is my dream, the most important opportunity to realize my life's value. For this matter, I can give up everything, including you. After saying that, he turned and walked out. After he left, my originally flustered and conflicted expression turned into pure disgust. After lunch, Tan Jiqiang left, using school matters as an excuse. With my family's financial support, he single-mindedly completed his PhD, and found a job as a lecturer at a private undergraduate university. Around the time he proposed going to Africa for volunteer teaching, he was frequently away from home. He said it was to make plans for poverty alleviation in Africa with some like-minded individuals. Meanwhile, I had the butler, Uncle Wu, discreetly arrange for someone to inspect the house to check for any hidden cameras or recording devices. If anything was found, they were not to touch it but to report directly to me, and no one else in the household was to be informed. I took some hair from Tan Xingxuan and myself, thought for a moment, and then found a few strands of Tan Jiqiang's hair from the bed. I instructed Uncle Wu to urgently send them for a paternity test. with strict confidentiality required as well. Then I asked Mom to quickly call Dad back. Seeing Dad, I couldn't help but cry again. 5 years of longing and 5 years of grievances cannot be soothed overnight. They could see that I was in a terrible state and first comforted me, then they took me to their bedroom and asked what had really happened. This bedroom had already been checked and contained no suspicious devices. "You'll be dead in half a month." My words froze both of them on the spot. In my previous life, just a few days after Tan Ji-chung left for Africa to do volunteer teaching, my parents died in a car accident. According to the plan, Tan Xingxuan, who was in 7th grade this year, was supposed to attend summer camp, and the butler, Uncle Wu, would drive the RV to take my parents and me to Ditching Mountain for a vacation. But just before we were about to leave, I received a call from the summer camp teacher, who said Tan Xingxuan had suddenly developed a high fever. Originally, the two of them had planned to cancel this vacation and stay behind to help take care of Xianxian. I knew that my father had scheduled everything 2 months in advance for this vacation, just to free up 1 week, so I insisted strongly that they continue their vacation, comforting them that once Xuanxuan's fever subsided, I would take him there to recuperate for a few days as well. This was the decision I regretted most in my previous life. Tan Xingxuan's sudden high fever was merely caused by a common cold virus and subsided quickly at the hospital. Just as I was feeling relieved and letting out a sigh, I received the police notification that Mom, Dad, and the butler, Uncle Wu, had died in a car accident. In that instant, my world collapsed. Instinctively, I wanted to find Tan Ji-chung, but his phone was completely unreachable. I recounted the events from before my rebirth to Mom and Dad in full detail. I knew they were people I could absolutely trust. I also know that they are the ones who absolutely love me. Even so, what I saw on their faces was concern and poorly concealed doubt. "Qinshin, what's wrong with you today? Did you have a nightmare last night?" Mom asked worriedly, gripping my hand. "Qinshin, your mother and I are also firmly opposed to Tan Ji-chung going to Africa to teach, but you shouldn't let this matter make you think too much." Dad also didn't believe what I said. They all thought I was either traumatized or sick, which led to such wild thoughts. I understand their doubts very well. After all, if something like rebirth hadn't actually happened to me, I wouldn't believe it either. Just then, there was a gentle knock at the door outside. It was Uncle Wu. Uncle Wu first looked at me, and I nodded at him. Only then did he speak. "Sir, madam, the matters the young lady asked me to handle have made some progress. After a thorough inspection of the villa from top to bottom, we found very hidden eavesdropping devices in the living room, your study, and the young lady's study. We also inspected the RV that was about to be used for the vacation. The braking system had been tampered with. Prolonged driving would cause the brakes to fail. The paternity test was expedited, and the hospital just faxed over the results." Amidst Mom and Dad's shock, Uncle Wu handed Dad a document. This can't be possible." Even I, who had mentally prepared myself, didn't expect this outcome. Not only was Tan Xingxuan excluded as my biological child, but he was also excluded as Tan Ji-chung's biological child. Then how did they recognize each other based on the paternity test? I carefully recalled what Tan Ji-chung said in my previous life. He said that based on the paternity test, Tan Xingxuan learned that Lin Chuchu was his biological mother. Could it be he only had Tan Xingxuan and Lin Chuchu take the paternity test? That makes sense. Actually, under normal circumstances, Tan Xingxuan's father would definitely be Tan Ji-chung. Before seeing the paternity test results, I had never doubted that point either. The corners of my mouth lifted slightly. This was probably the only thing from my past life that gave me a slight sense of satisfaction. That scumbag deserves it. Piece by piece, this evidence threw my parents into a state of confusion, but when combined with the story of my past life that I had told them, everything started to make perfect sense. All these things were done by Tan Ji-chung. Mom still couldn't quite believe it. They had previously only thought Tan Ji-chung was a bit scheming, perhaps being so accommodating to me because of my family's circumstances, but they never imagined he could do such utterly heartless things. "Uncle Wu, please help me investigate further. Look for a baby girl who appeared near the entrance of an orphanage close to the first maternity and infant hospital around February 19, 2007, a baby girl. I remember it was snowing heavily that day. How could he bear to do that to his own daughter? Qinshin, since this is truly the case, it means heaven has eyes. We cannot let this scoundrel get away." After Uncle Wu left, Dad said to me and Mom. I nodded. "We need to put on a show, and then have him play along with us." After years of ups and downs in the business world, I was no longer the naive and innocent person I used to be when it comes to playing Mind games, I'm not bad either. In the afternoon, Tan Xingxuan, who had just started 8th grade, came home from school and greeted us warmly and politely. Then he went back to his room to do his homework. I never expected my usually obedient and well-behaved son to hate me so much. If he had genuinely remained my good son, even after learning the truth, I wouldn't have completely abandoned the bond we shared over more than a decade. But now, this disgusting family won't let them off easy. Tan Jicheng returned very late from outside, his expression extremely grave. I pretended to have been waiting for a long time, wearing my beautiful pajamas, and actively came down from the second floor to greet him. Honey, why are you back so late? Have you eaten? If not, I'll ask Aunt Chen to make something for you. He forced a smile onto his face. No need. What have you thought about my plan to volunteer teach in Africa? I acted somewhat flustered. Didn't you say this morning to give me a couple of days to think about it? Zhai Yuchen, don't you dare try to stall me again. I told you this is my noble ideal. Tan Jicheng suddenly began to get angry. I agree to let you go, I blurted out. His contrite performance, prepared in advance, now only makes me find it hilarious. Too bad that back then, as a naive and innocent girl, I couldn't see through it at all. Since you don't agree, then let's Leah. I said I agree to you going to Africa to teach. I looked at him very seriously and said, I agree. Tan Jicheng hadn't expected me to make such a decision so quickly, and the anger he had prepared instantly faded. Yes, honey, I've thought it through today. As your loving wife, of course I should support your noble dream. My gaze toward him was filled with sincerity, a skill honed from years in the business world. No, he showed no trace of happiness at achieving his goal. Instead, visible panic took over. Seeing him like this, I knew the act I put on with my parents this afternoon had hit the mark. Under my personal direction and scriptwriting, the three of us performed a scene of gloom and despair in the living room. Dad said the company was currently facing a crisis and wanted to transfer the debt to a company under my name. This would protect the cash flow of the actual operating entity and provide a chance to turn things around, but the cost would be me becoming a deadbeat, hounded by debt collectors. Naturally, my husband would also be implicated. Although this was basically impossible legally, Tan Jicheng didn't know that the performance venue was also specially chosen right next to the listening device. Seeing how impatient Tan Jicheng was to divorce me, it meant the performance had succeeded. If you can support me, I'm very, happy. At this moment, there was not a trace of happiness on Tan Jicheng's face. His mind was racing so fast it was almost like you could see smoke rising from the top of his head. But we'll be living apart for a long time. Can you really stand it? He was clearly trying to find a new excuse. Didn't you say we could call each other regularly? Just being able to hear your voice would make me so happy. I blinked my big, sparkling eyes and continued to gaze at him affectionately. Tan Jicheng took a deep breath, grabbed my shoulders, as if he had made up his mind about some major decision. Honey, there are certain risks involved in this volunteer teaching trip to Africa. To avoid dragging you into it, I think it's better if we get a divorce. Hearing him say that, my eyes suddenly widened, my face turned pale, with 3 parts shock, 3 parts confusion, and 4 parts despair. But then, as if remembering something, my head drooped weakly again, as if I had already accepted my fate. Husband, since you've said so too, then this is for the best for you. I poured all my effort into my acting, deeply loving my husband, but also thinking that not divorcing might end up dragging him down. To externalize this emotion in a layered manner. But Xian, divorce naturally requires considering the issue of child custody. Although I already understood in my heart, I still had to go through the motions completely. After all, I'm going to Africa to teach, so it's definitely better for Xian to stay with you. I knew his thoughts. Tan Xingxuan staying with him would only disrupt his and Lin Chuchu's world for two. It would be better to just toss him to me, this free nanny, and if my family's company manages to pull through in the future, he could use this insider to target our assets again. I didn't expose him. Instead, I went along with it and agreed because my parents were wary of Tan Jicheng. I don't have much property in my name. The villa and luxury cars are under my parents' names. Our family assets are just a bit of leftover salary, which we split with him 50-50. When Tan Jicheng realized he could only get so little from the divorce, he clearly began to hesitate. Not divorcing meant fearing being saddled with debt, demanding too much. On the other hand, risked exposing his true intentions. Honey, I know you need money to spread your love in Africa, so I begged Dad to allocate 5 million for you. Coincidentally, he has a client in Africa who owes him 5 million in payment for goods. They've already agreed to transfer it to you. Once you're there, you can just go find him. When Tan Jicheng heard the 5 million, his eyes lit up, and he immediately agreed to the divorce. After all, he knew my character very well. I would absolutely never lie. After we finished the divorce at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he said he wanted to get together with his fellow volunteer teachers one more time. I knew that the so-called fellow volunteer teachers he mentioned were actually Lin Chu sitting in the car. I watched his cheerful, departing figure, yet a sharp pain twisted in my heart. Back then, I had searched every orphanage near the hospital, but I never found that abandoned baby girl. On the day Tan Jicheng left for Africa for his volunteer teaching, I went to the airport to see him off. In the previous life, it was the same. He did go to Africa, but it was to travel with his white moonlight. Seeing the colleague Lin Chu, who was like an old white flower, by his side, I couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. In the previous life, this woman had Tan Jicheng wrapped around her finger and even managed to cause the death of my entire family. In this life, I wonder if she can still handle things with ease in the black mines of Africa. Before departure, Tan Jicheng repeatedly confirmed with me how to claim the 5 million. The main reason I sent him off was to remind him not to forget to claim the 5 million. It seems my worry was unnecessary. A few more days passed, and a call came from Africa. They said they had received the express delivery of this despicable couple and had already arranged for them to work in the mines. My old man started from scratch and built everything up over decades, so naturally he knew all kinds of people, including some in Africa. Over there in Africa, nobody cares much about the law, and all sorts of ruthless warlords wouldn't give a damn about diplomatic fallout. In order to run off with his white moonlight, Tan Jicheng quit his job outright and kept telling everyone he'd gone to Africa to teach in a volunteer program. His parents died when he was a child, and after I divorced him, naturally no one cared where he went. At my request, the black mine over in Africa beat him so badly he was left battered and bruised all over. I confirmed that what he said about abandoning his daughter at the orphanage door was true, but I had already searched every orphanage in the city, and there was no trace of this baby girl. This was the biggest knot in my heart after my rebirth, and now it seems it may never be untied in my lifetime. After sending that pair of J people to a black mine in Africa to live together, Dad also started handing over the company's management to me. You always used to say that if you were in charge, the company would definitely go bankrupt, forcing me to work for you at this old age. If you could do it in your previous life, you can naturally do it in this one. I'm retiring to go travel with your mom. With no other choice, I had to agree, and managing the company wasn't really a problem for me. Having been trained in my previous life, I could handle it with ease, and I also had the advantage of 5 years' worth of foresight into the future. Within this lay immense wealth hidden in various opportunities. 5 years later, in the city's highest cloud restaurant, Fan Yanyi and I sat facing each other. Although I am already in my early 40s, my current state is completely different from my previous life. Consistent skincare and exercise have kept my complexion fair, with almost no crow's feet at the corners of my eyes. Even in casual wear, I can make men on the street turn their heads frequently. Fan Yanyi, who is about the same age as me, shows no signs of decline either. Instead, he exudes a unique composure that comes with time, with sharp eyebrows, bright eyes, a high nose bridge, and a demeanor that fully showcases the charm of a mature man. In my previous life, Fan Yanyi and I were already acquaintances. When the company faced a major crisis, it was he who suddenly appeared, helping me through the difficult times with a crucial injection of capital and several key projects. I once asked him why he helped me, and he answered that he admired my hard work and perseverance. However, at that time, he knew my husband was teaching in Africa as a volunteer, so he didn't express any feelings for me that went beyond the boundaries of friendship. Indiana, this life, leveraging the informational advantages I've gained over the past 5 years, I have developed the company into a super conglomerate spanning multiple fields. It has secured a place on the world's billionaire rankings, and Fan Yanyi approached me early on, proposing a collaboration. For this person who helped me greatly in my previous life, I gladly agreed. In the process of collaborating with me, his company also achieved much greater success than in the previous life. But in this life, Fan Yanyi has been much more direct with me than in the last one, unabashedly expressing his love for me. Although I admire him, mature, handsome, able to support my career, and even considered my benefactor in a past life, but the psychological shadow Tan Jicheng left me makes me unwilling to develop emotional relationships with men again. Fan Yanyi isn't in a hurry either. He just quietly accompanies me, working on our careers together. But as time goes by, the defenses in my heart gradually soften, especially as we approach the time of my death. In the previous life, the informational advantages have mostly faded. This has given me the idea of semi-retirement. Today is the day I've decided to accept Fan Yanyi. In a not-so-grand but very thoughtful confession ceremony, I said yes to him. President Zhai, can I call you Yuchen from now on? Fan Yanyi teased me. I smiled gently and nodded, approved. Yuchen, Do you know how long we've known each other? A little over 4 years. In this lifetime, he sought me out on his own initiative. More than half a year after Tan Jicheng flew to Africa. No, Fang Yan shook his head gently. Actually, we've known each other for a long time. I was startled. He and I did indeed know each other long ago, but that was in my previous life. Could it be that he was reborn too? So in this life, he came looking for me even earlier than in my previous one. Fang Yan could tell the surprise in my eyes. He smiled at me and said, "You definitely can't remember. 30 years ago, when we were still in junior high, I was the chubby kid sitting behind you." I see, I was overthinking it. I quickly searched my memory. In junior high, there seemed to have been a semester when a chubby kid sat behind me. Oh, I suddenly realized, I remember now. The chubby kid who got bullied by the girls all the time. You can still remember me. I'm truly honored. He smiled until his eyes narrowed, looking nothing like his usual mature and steady self. Back then, you helped me several times. You were the ray of light that pierced through the clouds in my heart. That's not right, though. I don't think that chubby kid was called Fang Yan either. I tilted my head and asked in confusion. Later, my mother changed my name. Fang Yan slowly told me the story of what happened to him back then. Back then, his parents were going through a divorce, which made him timid and introverted, and at that time, some girls who fancied themselves as the big boss type liked to bully such timid chubby boys, and since I've always had a strong sense of justice, I helped him drive away those girls several times. In his eyes back then, I was like an angel sent from heaven to save him. Later, when his parents officially divorced, he went to live with his mother and left this place for another city. By the time he achieved some success and found me, I was already married to Tan Jicheng, and he, being a person with strong moral principles, knew he had different feelings for me, so he never revealed himself to me. It wasn't until 5 years ago, after I divorced Tan Jicheng, and after waiting for over half a year to confirm that our relationship had truly ended, that he finally took the initiative to reach out to me. After hearing Fang Yan's story, I also understood why he appeared earlier in this life than in the previous one, and this lifetime's behavior is much more direct than in the previous life, because in the previous life, although Tan Jicheng was always away, our marital relationship was still maintained, so he never appeared, only stepping in to help me when he saw me facing a great crisis. Since we've talked so much, may I be allowed to gossip a little? I stirred the coffee in front of me with a spoon and asked Fang Yan. Of course, I'll tell you everything I know without holding back. Fang Yan replied without hesitation. I gathered my thoughts and began to speak, because I never asked much about your family situation before, but since our relationship is different now, could you tell me about your previous marriage? I knew Fang Yan had a very outstanding daughter, but to avoid making him suspicious, I never inquired about it. Unexpectedly, Fang Yan shook his head. I don't have a previous marriage. I frowned slightly. Then your daughter is. Hearing me mention his daughter, Fang Yan's expression became somewhat awkward, but he still answered me. In recent years, I've been secretly keeping an eye on you. I also knew on the day you gave birth, so I waited outside the hospital, though I didn't know what I was waiting for. I didn't leave until late at night, when my subordinates at the hospital found out that you and the baby were both safe and sound, but because my feelings were so complicated that day, I had the driver take the car back first, and I walked back slowly in the heavy snow. As I passed by the entrance of an orphanage, I found a newborn baby girl left on the ground. She was just wrapped haphazardly in a very thin little blanket. Her face was blue and her lips were purple, almost frozen to death. I rushed her to the hospital, and it took 3 days of emergency treatment before she was out of life-threatening danger. For some reason I didn't understand at the time, I felt an extraordinary fondness for this child and adopted her. Chen, what's wrong? Listening to Fang Yan's story, I was so overwhelmed with emotion that I couldn't control myself, my body trembling violently, but I didn't want to interrupt him, until he noticed my unusual state. Can I go meet her? Although the pretty girl in front of me looked quite different from me in appearance, I still felt that there was something in her features that resembled mine. Girl, you are. I trembled as I took her hand and asked softly. Although the girl found it a little strange, she still replied politely, "Hello, Auntie, my name is Fang Siu." This name seems to have been chosen with a bit of thought. After I managed to calm myself down a little, I said to Fang Yan, I want to do a paternity test. After the paternity test results came out, I held Fang Siu in the hospital and cried uncontrollably. Luckily, we were in a VIP room, otherwise, the richest man in the province crying so unrestrainedly and without any regard for his image would definitely have made headlines across every media outlet. It also seemed like a marvelous arrangement by fate. My daughter was not only alive, but had never suffered much either. It fulfilled the greatest regrets of both my lifetimes. Fang Yan had also spent no small amount of effort and resources raising her over the years. He had raised her into an exceptionally outstanding young woman. She won places at top universities around the world and took home all kinds of international awards, surpassing even me back in the day. She was far better than that worthless Tan Xingxuan, that fake son of mine. I sent him abroad while his fake father and biological mother were mining in an African mine. I gave him a huge monthly allowance with no demands, letting him play however he wanted. He truly let loose and played, ending up achieving nothing there, not even getting into the worst university. I brought Fang Yan and Fang Siyu home to meet my parents, but I saw 3 people stopped outside the villa gate. Have you lost your minds? This is my grandparents' house, and you dare not let me in. A young man arrogantly scolded the servants blocking them. Beside him were a middle-aged man and woman dressed plainly and showing every sign of old age. The man had graying hair and a gaunt frame. The woman had dry, yellowish hair and a figure that had lost its shape. As I approached, I realized the young man was actually my good-for-nothing fake son. Only half his head was shaved, while the other half was braided into colorful, grimy dreadlocks. He wore several earrings and even had a nose ring. When he spoke, you could see a tongue piercing. He was a completely different person from the well-behaved student I had sent away. As for that man and woman, they seemed to be Tan Jicheng and his white moonlight. These two are really something. They actually managed to escape from that. Get that bitch Shy Yuchen out here. If she doesn't come out, I'll call the police right now. I'll have the police shoot her dead. I waved my hand, signaling the accompanying security personnel to pull the 3 of them apart. As soon as Tan Xingxuan saw me, she immediately shouted, "Mom, give me money now. You haven't sent me any money for over a month." The outstretched arm had clearly visible needle marks. Meanwhile, Tan Jicheng and Lin Chuchu looked at me with nothing but envy and hatred in their eyes. Tan Jicheng, his face covered in scars, also started yelling at me, "Zhai Yuchen, you better transfer all your companies and assets to me right now, or I'll sue you for human trafficking." "Mom, you can transfer it all to me. I'll handle things with Dad and Auntie." Tan Jicheng chimed in, Xian and I can split it half and half. "I'll kill you." Lin Chuchu's face was sallow, her eyes blazing with fury directed at me as she lunged, but was tightly restrained by security personnel. I don't know where Lin Chuchu's intense hatred for me comes from. She didn't even do heavy labor in the African black mine, because she caught the eye of a miner boss under the warlord. She was taken out to be a concubine and gave birth to 4 black children for him in 5 years. Compared to what she did to me in my past life, this is nothing. Fang Yan and Fang Siyu also stepped in front of me, shielding me behind them. Lin Chuchu's eyes lit up the moment she saw Fang Yan, instantly seeming to lose all strength, and her voice began to take on a delicate, affected tone. I don't think I can stand anymore. It's all because of that Zhai Yuchen." I looked at these 3 clown-like individuals and let out a scornful laugh. "Why on earth should I give you my money? If you have the guts, go ahead and sue me. I had cleaned up all traces of what I did back then, so I'm not at all afraid of them taking legal action." Tan Xingxuan struggled in the security guard's grip, shouting at me, "Mom, don't be so stubborn. Now that Dad is back, you two should just get remarried. I felt ashamed all these years living with you." Ashamed? This good-for-nothing's twisted logic made me laugh in sheer exasperation. "Perfect. Having a son like you is also an embarrassment to me. Now that you're an adult, let's sever all ties." "Sever ties?" Tan Xingxuan's voice rose an octave. "Then who will take care of you in your old age? Who will you leave all the money you've earned to? Who, even if others are close to you? It's only because of your money. Only I share a blood relationship with you." "Haha, blood relationship." I laughed again. "You and I share no blood relationship." Tan Xingxuan's voice choked off instantly, and he looked panicked at Tan Jicheng and Lin Chuchu. Judging by the situation, the useless fake son and his biological mother had already acknowledged each other. "What nonsense are you talking?" Tan Jicheng shouted with a fierce but weak tone. "Have you lost your mind? Xian is our own son." "Haha, you're wrong again." I looked at Tan Jicheng with amusement. "He's not related to you by blood either. There's only one person here who shares a blood relation with him." I pointed at Lin Chuchu, "and that's his biological mother." Under my pointed finger, Lin Chuchu's eyes darted away. "You're talking nonsense." Tan Jicheng's eyes widened. "How could Xian not be related to me?" I had a staff member bring out a stack of cash and threw it in front of the 3 of them. "If you don't believe me, go get a paternity test. If you don't trust one lab, go to another. This money is enough for you to do it several times." After saying that, I had security throw them and the money outside. When Mom and Dad saw Fang Siyu, tears immediately streamed down their aged faces. Mom also held her tightly, unwilling to let go for a long time. "My dear granddaughter, you've suffered so much these years. Mom, your granddaughter hasn't suffered at all. Her father dotes on her. I pulled Fang Yan over. Let me formally introduce to you both. This is Fang Yan. You're already familiar with his previous identity. He was my steadfast business partner. Now, his new identity is my boyfriend, and also the father of my daughter. This relationship might sound a bit unusual, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. My parents were very pleased with Fang Yan and insisted he stay with us for a few days during these days. I truly felt the joy of being with family. The public security department is now issuing a police alert to the public. A man, armed with a knife, killed a middle-aged woman and a young man at a local paternity testing institution in the city before fleeing. The suspect's characteristics are: citizens are urged to remain vigilant. If spotted, report to the police immediately. Local television stations are all broadcasting this police alert. At that moment, I was walking out of the company, heading toward the private car with its door already open. Suddenly, a filthy figure lunged out from the side and grabbed me. The foul stench hit my nostrils directly. It was Tan Jiqiang. He was holding a sharp knife, pressing it against my neck. A hoarse, raspy roar. I remember now. I remember everything. We clearly succeeded in achieving our goal so smoothly. Why are we doing it all over again? You're cheating. I instantly understood that he was talking about his previous life. Could it be that the two world lines have merged? Kill you. If I kill you, it'll definitely start over again. By then, the one who wins will definitely be me. Tan Jiqiang, in a frenzy, swung the knife toward my neck. I desperately tilted my head to the side. Bang! Tan Jiqiang froze, a bloody hole appearing in his forehead. Blood splashed onto my face, warm to the touch. Could someone so cold-blooded and heartless have warm blood too? His body went limp and collapsed to the ground. Fang Yan and Fang Xiyu rushed toward me anxiously. Police from all around are also converging here. I looked at Tan Jiqiang lying on the ground, his eyes wide open, lifeless. He knew more than I had imagined. Fortunately, using myself as bait this time has completely resolved the hidden danger. Do it all over again. I don't want to. Story 2. A few years ago, Huating caused the family of my beloved Bai Yuiguang to go bankrupt. In order to save the life of Meng Yuning, the younger sister of his deceased fiancé, he snatched the ambulance that was meant for my Bai Yuiguang, causing him to die on the road. A few years later, I got plastic surgery to look like his Bai Yuiguang and had repeated chance encounters with him, successfully becoming his kept woman. I competed with Meng Yuning to see who could be more scheming and crazy. After my fake death, I watched with amusement as Huating sent people to dig up her grave. Huating, I'm returning the words crazy dog to you. Xia Xinglan, you slut, how dare you seduce my brother-in-law? I'll tear you apart. Just as I was walking into the parking lot, carrying newly bought clothes and jewelry and talking to Huating on the phone, Meng Yuning blocked my way with several women. She grabbed my hair and slapped me several times, then kicked me hard in the stomach. The phone fell to the ground, and Huating's anxious shouts came from the other side. Teach this bitch a lesson. Just because you look like my sister, you think you can climb up. Xia Xinglan, do you think you'll live to spend this money? Several women held me down, and Meng Yuning stepped on each of my fingers with her high heels. They forced me to eat garbage and put on makeup on me with all kinds of messy paints. I'll make you stop imitating my sister. I'll make you stop having the same face as her. Meng Yuning vented viciously. What she didn't know was that in another car not far away, someone was recording all of this. I endured without making a sound, and Meng Yuning became more and more brutal. After Meng Yuning and her people left, I stumbled to my feet and picked up the phone on the ground. The call had already been disconnected. A smile curled up on my lips, and I drove back to the villa Huating had prepared for me. In less than 10 minutes, the video of Meng Yuning beating me went viral. I stared at my messy face in the mirror and said silently, Huating, Meng Yuning, just you wait. Huating soon heard the news and rushed over. I turned off the lights and huddled in the corner, crying. Huating suddenly pulled me up and pinned me against the nearby French window. Xia Xinglan, what on earth are you up to? I pretended to be innocent and covered my face. What did I do? Yuning said you sent her a cam recording, so she was standing up for her sister. I've warned you before, you're just a canary I keep. Don't expect to get more from me. Huating's eyes were filled with gloomy anger as he tightly pinched my chin. I held his left hand and stared at the ring on his ring finger. I've never once thought of taking her place. Yuning must have misunderstood me. What cam recording? What's in the cam recording? Huating stared fixedly at me and leaned close to my ear. Do you really not know what's in it? There are pictures of you hooking me with black stockings. I covered his mouth. Who on earth sent Yuning such a thing? Huating, I'm scared. I'm scared of Yuning. Will she kill me? I weakly burrowed into Huating's arms, choking just right. Huating said coldly, "Is it really not you? I'll send someone to investigate." I took his hand and placed it on my heart, being careful. "Don't you believe me?" Seeing Huating's expression soften, I added another strong move. "If you don't believe me, don't you believe in the child we lost either?" Huating dared not look at me. "Xinglan," Huating said with a trembling voice. "Sorry, Yunying cares too much about Yunshuang and has been spoiled by me." Huating hesitated. "Huating, you've already given me a lot. This bit of grievance is nothing." I showed a strong smile. "A few months ago, I deliberately pretended to fall down the stairs on my birthday, lost a child, and successfully framed Meng Yunying." Huating got extremely angry at that time, but he only slapped Meng Yunying twice. After that, I cried bitterly, saying that I was just as kept woman and that even if Meng Yunying hadn't pushed me, I couldn't have given birth to that child. I often mentioned the existence of the child sadly. I wanted Huating to feel guilty every time he came. I shook my head. "I know the position of Sister Yunshuang in your heart, and I always remember my own identity." "Huating, if you don't believe me, I can even swear in front of Sister Yunshuang's grave." Huating finally held me in his arms with a heartbroken expression. "Baby, how could I not believe you? Yunying was too impulsive. She made you suffer." I winced in pain. He held my hand. "The doctor will be here soon. I'll make Yunying give you an explanation for this." I leaned against Huating, showing a confident expression. After the doctor treated my hand, he examined the injuries on my abdomen. When Huating saw the bruises on my fair abdomen and the footprints on my skirt, his face darkened significantly. He felt heartbroken, even though I was just his plaything, a canary he bought. For a like Huating who maneuvers in the business world, as long as it's his thing, if someone else touches it, it's like slapping him in the face. And under my design, Meng Yunying has been dancing on Huating's minefield several times. I was trembling all over in pain, but I still smiled at Huating. "I'm fine, don't worry." After the family doctor left, Huating carefully helped me take a bath, wash my hair, and clean the paint on my face. I remained quiet, letting him do as he pleased. I put my foot on his leg and gently teased him. "Stop it, you're injured, be good." Huating's eyes darkened as he warned. I lowered my head and didn't speak. Huating helped me dry my hair and then went to take a bath. I walked barefoot out of the hall and sat in front of the piano, lost in thought, calculating the time when Huating was about to come out. I endured the pain and played a few notes. As expected, Huating was stunned. I frowned. Huating ran over and held my hand. "Don't be brave when you're injured." "Will I never be able to play the piano again?" I stared at my hands in panic. "No, I promise you won't. Don't be afraid." Huating sat next to me. When he kissed my hair, he murmured, "Yunshuang." I imitated Meng Yunshuang very vividly. Meng Yunshuang was highly accomplished in piano. I specifically learned the piano, watched videos of her competitions, and deliberately learned the pieces she played. I knew all of Meng Yunshuang's habits: walking barefoot, loving to wear white dresses, loving to laugh, and liking kittens. I also found out what Meng Yunshuang and Huating had experienced together and the places they had been to. I would deliberately take Huating to those places again to stir up his memories of Meng Yunshuang. I knew clearly that Meng Yunshuang died of a heart attack, and I would occasionally pretend to have heart discomfort to deceive Huating. As time passed, Huating often called me by Meng Yunshuang's name. When he was emotional, he would ask me over and over again if I loved him. I knew clearly that Huating only regarded me as a substitute for Meng Yunshuang. At the moment he kissed my hair, I knew that I had pushed his guilt to the peak. "Xinglan, I've always been grateful to have met you," Huating murmured. I smiled. "Really? I couldn't wait to see you both fall into hell." 7 years ago, Huating schemed to make the family of my Baiyuiguang, Pei Ran, go bankrupt. Not only that, after that chain reaction car accident, he snatched the last ambulance for Meng Yunying, who was only slightly injured. I cried and fought with him, almost biting off a piece of his right hand, but he kicked me hard and called me a crazy dog. In the end, I watched helplessly as Pei Ran, who was severely injured and bleeding heavily to save me, died in front of me. So, 2 years ago, I found the manager of Shangxiang nightclub, an experienced madam. She taught me a lot. She would take me to watch all kinds of videos and analyze for me, like in a class, what expression to use at what time. She would pick the most seductive clothes for me, which were enough to make a man have a nosebleed at the sight of me. She would choose the most alluring perfume for me and said, "Men are visual and olfactory animals. When he repeatedly remembers the smell on you, you're 90% successful." I studied for 3 full months. After that, I changed my name, got plastic surgery to look like Meng Yunshuang, Huating's deceased Baiyuiguang, and danced pole dance in the bar where Huating often appeared. I had chance encounters with him several times. attracting the attention of his business partners and naturally his attention as well. When I was vomiting over the toilet, as I expected, he handed me a tissue. They're so disgusting. I shook my head with tears in my eyes. Before I left, I deliberately left behind a business card of an unlicensed clinic. I saw with my own eyes that Huating asked the madam about me, and the madam vividly told him my pitiful life story, a poor woman forced to desperation by her adoptive father's gambling debts. All her learning is in vain, no one is willing to keep her directly. The madam shook her head. Huating frowned. A few days later, when I was lying in the unlicensed clinic, Huating burst in with a dark face. He yanked me off the shabby operating table and took me back to his villa. With my face that was 9/10 similar to Meng Yunxuang's, I became Huating's kept woman in a blink of an eye. 2 years have passed. The more Meng Yuning bullied me in private, the more heartbreaking, doting, and trusting Huating became towards me. After Huating fell asleep, I turned on my phone in the dark. The viral video had been taken down, and there were several million more in my account. This was Huating's compensation to me. The next day was my birthday. Huating held a birthday party for me in his manner. Meng Yuning also came. She looked extremely haggard. Huating held me and said to Meng Yuning, "The cam recording wasn't sent to you by Xinglan. It was Lao Lu who couldn't keep his mouth shut. I've already fired him. Come over and apologize to Xinglan." "You want me to apologize to Xie Xinglan in public?" "Impossible." Meng Yuning was so angry that she was trembling all over. Huating said with a sullen face, "Apologize? How many times have I warned you? She's mine. Why can't you listen? Do you know how much that viral video affected the stocks of your Meng family last night because of your nonsense?" Meng Yuning refused to give in. "Brother-in-law, you're completely bewitched by Xie Xinglan. Wake up. She's nothing like my sister. Look, she's still smiling now." I restrained my smile and shook my head innocently at Huating. "I've already investigated the matter. It was a misunderstanding. If you don't apologize, get out of the matter and don't call me in the future," Huating said coldly. Meng Yuning had no choice but to grit her teeth and say to me, "Sorry, it was my fault." I smiled again. "It's okay." Halfway through, I went to the bathroom and heard Meng Yuning planning to make me fall off the 6th floor rooftop. "The railing is loose and hasn't been maintained yet. It could be deadly," the gardener kindly reminded. Meng Yuning snorted. "If she falls off by herself, it has nothing to do with us." When I passed by Meng Yuning, I deliberately said, "It's so stuffy. I'm going to the rooftop to get some air. Yuning, can you come and keep me company?" "Sure." Meng Yuning sneered. I walked to the edge of the loose railing and turned back to stare at Meng Yuning. The cam recording was indeed given to you by Lao Lu. However, I asked him to give it to you. Meng Yuning's face changed as expected. "I knew it was you. You're crazy. Why do you keep framing me again and again? Last time you said I caused you to lose the child. I haven't settled the score with you yet. I want to expose your true face. You keep accusing me for your sister, but what dirty thoughts are you hiding? Your feelings for Huating?" Before I could finish, Meng Yuning rushed over and pushed me hard. "Nonsense, go to hell," Meng Yuning said viciously. Huating came up to the rooftop and witnessed all of this. He threw Meng Yuning aside and tightly grabbed my hand in the nick of time. "Brother-in-law, listen to me. She just admitted that Lao Lu was acting on her orders, and last time, and the time before that, she deliberately fell down. It wasn't me. She's deliberately framing me," Meng Yuning explained eagerly. Huating pulled me up and found that my arm was scratched with a bloodstain. He was immediately filled with heartbroken. "Meng Yuning, how could you become like this, lying through your teeth to harm others? I saw with my own eyes that you pushed Xinglan down. You're still making a scene. Brother-in-law, have you forgotten my sister? My sister loved you until the last moment of her life. Do you want to hurt her only sister for a kept woman?" Meng Yuning grabbed his hand. "Don't call me brother-in-law. She was just my fiancé. She's dead. And we all have to move on. If you can't figure it out, go and reflect in front of Meng Yunxuang's grave tonight." After saying that, Huating actually took off the ring on his ring finger and threw it hard at Meng Yuning's face. Meng Yuning froze. "Xinglan, I'll take you to the hospital." Huating showed me his tenderness. Brother-in-law, brother-in-law, Huating didn't look back. I gave Meng Yuning a mocking smile. The entire rooftop was filled with Meng Yuning's crazy shouts. "She really is a crazy dog." Meng Yuning soon followed to the hospital. While Huating was out buying food for me, she rushed into my hospital room. "Xie Xinglan, you slut, I'll make you stop pretending. I'll make you stop trying to steal Huating. He was my sister's." Before Meng Yuning could strangle my neck, I picked up the water kettle next to me and showed a carefully calculated smile. "The game has started." Meng Yuning, right in front of Meng Yuning, I poured the boiling water onto my thigh. Meng Yuning couldn't believe it. You're crazy. Ah, it hurts so much, I cried out in pain. Huating dropped the taro paste egg tarts in his hand and ran to my side, looking at my scalded thigh. His eyes turned red. Yuning, I really didn't want to steal Huating from your sister. Can you let me go? I'm just trying to pay off my father's gambling debts. I don't dare to fall in love with Huating. I trembled. Huating grabbed Meng Yuning's neck. Have I given you too many chances? That's why you keep crossing my again, last time you leaked the bid-winning information, and I covered it up for you. I've tolerated you again and again out of respect for your sister, but you don't know how to appreciate it. Meng Yuning held Huating's hand. It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. Naturally, it wasn't Meng Yuning. I was the one who leaked the winning bid price to Huating's competitor. From the very beginning, I had been in a cooperative relationship with his competitor, and Meng Yuning was just a scapegoat for us to bear Huating's anger this time. I probably really pushed Huating to the limit. He almost strangled Meng Yuning to death and also terminated the cooperation with the Meng family, resulting in a lot of losses. Because he felt sorry for me and was guilt-ridden, he became obedient to me in everything except for going out in the heavy rain that night. He put aside all his work and accompanied me for a week. Whatever I wanted, he would buy for me. I heard from Huating's assistant that on that stormy night, he dragged Meng Yuning to Meng Yunshuang's grave in a fit of anger and forced her to kneel there for a whole night. I heard that after that, Meng Yuning had a high fever for 3 days and 3 nights. When the assistant told me this, he carefully observed my expression, so I guessed that Huating had asked him to tell me on purpose. So at night, I gave him a reward. Huating's pupils were darker and deeper than the night. He said leisurely in my ear, "Xinglan, you're really fascinating." I slowly smiled. Really? You must have said this to someone else before. He looked into my eyes and after a long time said, "No, only you." Huating lit a cigarette and said slowly, "Yunshuang had congenital heart disease and wasn't suitable for such things. After she left, you're my first lover. Xinglan, do you only want money? Is there anything else?" I thought seriously. "Houses, cars, you've already given them to me. What about me? Have you never thought of having me?" Huating actually asked this question. I felt like laughing out loud. This was the man who had once bitten me and called me a crazy dog. Look, now he's being played around by me. Since Huating actually threw away the engagement ring he had worn for many years for me that day, I vaguely guessed that this man might have fallen in love with me. I immediately panicked. "Huating, stop testing me." Huating hugged me. "Don't be afraid, I'm not testing you. Don't worry. Meng Yuning doesn't dare to cause trouble anymore. She's been locked up at home by her brother." I nodded carefully and leaned over to kiss the corner of his mouth. After a while, I held his hand and stared at the tooth marks. Who was it, biting so hard? Huating stared at the tooth marks on his hand, his eyes showing a fierce look. "Just a crazy dog." This crazy dog, pretended to be nonchalant and kissed the tooth marks on his hand. Huating kept staring at me until I pretended to fall asleep. Finally, he sighed. "When I saw you falling off the rooftop that day, I realized that I couldn't lose you. Standing in front of Yunshuang's grave, it was you who came to my mind. I, Huating, am probably trapped by you. Xinglan, don't leave me. Stay by my side obediently." I felt nothing in my heart and was only calculating that since Meng Yuning, the scapegoat, was temporarily locked up at home, the plan had to be suspended, temporarily losing Meng Yuning as an opponent. I was extremely bored. The burn on my thigh was a bit unsightly, so I hired a tattoo artist to tattoo a gorgeous cluster of red spider lily on my thigh. When Huating saw the red spider lily blooming on my thigh, a flash of amazement crossed his eyes. "Do you like it?" I asked with a smile. He nodded. I deliberately asked Huating to wear the tie I chose and use the perfume I usually used. I also often went to his company and got along well with his subordinates. When Meng Yuning came to the company to look for Huating and saw how well I got along with his subordinates, she was so angry that her face distorted. "Yuning, you're out. Come here quickly. I just had someone bring over taro paste egg tarts, freshly baked. Come and have a taste." I held a box of egg tarts. "Mr. Hua is really good to Miss Xia." Knowing that Miss Xia likes taro paste egg tarts the most, he just waved his hand and bought that store, making them move downstairs to our company to do business. "Yeah, every time Miss Xia comes, Mr. Hua will also order coffee to her taste, so consider it." I quickly waved my hand. "Everyone, hurry up and eat the egg tarts. Stop teasing me." Meng Yuning walked towards me, grabbed 2 egg tarts, and stuffed them into my mouth. "You like eating egg tarts, right? I'll let you have enough." "Miss Meng, don't go too far." Others protested for me. Meng Yuning said word by word, "I'm going too far. She's just relying on a face that's similar to my sister's." Hua Ting loves my sister in his heart. Not this fake, she's just a shameless mistress. I was choked by the egg tarts, coughing desperately, and tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. Who dares to say she's a mistress, Meng Yuning? It seems you really didn't take my words to heart. Why do you always have to pick on Xinglan? Hua Ting said angrily. What else is she if not a mistress? She's the mistress who stole you. Hua Ting, why do you always side with her? She's a crazy woman. The burn on her thigh was clearly self-inflicted. Meng Yuning pointed at me. How could anyone pour boiling water on their own thigh? Burns are the most painful. I once burned my finger and it hurt for a long time, let alone such a large area on the thigh. That's right. What kind of joke is Miss Meng making? Hua Ting's subordinates had recently benefited from me, and several of them had even been promoted because of my whispers in Hua Ting's ear. Seeing Hua Ting's attitude, they bravely spoke up for me. When Xinglan was just burned, she couldn't sleep at night because of the pain and was trembling all over. Do you think I'll believe you when you say she did it to herself? Hua Ting questioned. This is all the trickery of this kept woman. My sister is dead. She looks so much like my sister. What does she want? Her intentions are as clear as day. She wants to get your love by relying on a face like my sister's and stage a story of a kept woman rising to power. Impossible. My sister is dead, but I, Meng Yuning, am still alive. I want to protect the position that belongs to my sister, Meng Yuning said firmly. According to what you said, after your sister died, Mr. Hua can never get married in this life. Miss Meng keeps saying she's standing up for her sister, but a few years ago, I saw with my own eyes the two of you sisters arguing over Mr. Hua. What's going on with that? This is really funny. I really thought there was such a great sister. It turns out she also has some other thoughts about Mr. Hua. Meng Yuning stared at those subordinates. What are you talking nonsense about? Stop it, don't say any more. I tried to persuade. Hua Ting showed a cruel smile to Meng Yuning. Xinglan, come here. I obediently walked to Hua Ting's side, pretending not to dare to look at Meng Yuning. Hua Ting held my hand. Meng Yuning, Meng Yunshuang is dead. You don't need to do anything for her anymore. You keep calling Xinglan a mistress, right? Just because of this, I'll marry Xia Xinglan. I suddenly looked up at Hua Ting. Meng Yuning screamed crazily. Hua Ting, are you crazy? How can you marry Xia Xinglan? What does she deserve? Do you think she loves you? She's just after your money. Hua Ting ignored her, wiped the egg tart crumbs from the corner of my mouth, and said, Xinglan, let's go. A few days later, Hua Ting got very angry in the study. Only he was taking care of the business in the Hua family. His father and cousin were also targeted by competitors and suffered losses. I stuffed the washed grapes into his mouth and gently massaged his temples. Recently, the Hua family has been targeted. There are people causing trouble in the business world, and there are also problems elsewhere. The Meng family is also making trouble. I stared at Hua Ting, who was in a state of distress, and softly comforted him. Don't worry, he would never have thought that everything was the result of my cooperation with his competitor. Hua Ting was going on a business trip to another city for a week and ordered his subordinates to prepare for our wedding. Meng Yuning finally couldn't hold back. She inquired everywhere about the hotel where Hua Ting was staying and secretly bought some drugs. I had someone tell Meng Yuning the hotel and room number where Hua Ting was staying on his birthday. Meng Yuning managed to get the room card. She put the drugs in Hua Ting's wine in advance and then hid on the big bed in the room, waiting in a camisole dress. Everything was going smoothly according to my plan. A few minutes after Hua Ting entered the room, I rushed into the room with a group of Hua Ting's subordinates. Mr. Hua, happy birthday. The subordinates were blowing balloons and singing the birthday song merrily. One of them was even recording. When they saw Meng Yuning and Hua Ting embracing each other, everyone was stunned. Hua Ting looked at my face and then at Meng Yuning. Suddenly, he understood and slapped Meng Yuning hard. How dare you climb into my bed? I took a half step back in panic. Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry, Hua Ting. Today is your birthday, and I thought we could give you a surprise together. I'll leave right away. Hua Ting shook his dazed head. Don't go. You guys take Meng Yuning away. No one is allowed to say a single word about what happened today. The hotel room door closed. Meng Yuning never thought that she would be on the trending list and the headlines tonight. Hua Ting's competitor would take the video recorded just now and post it online. Hua Ting, no. You'd better find Meng Yuning. It's not convenient for me. I dodged his kisses. He was like a person doused with a basin of cold water. After a long while, he finally rushed into the bathroom to take a cold shower with red eyes. I sat on the big bed, playing with my phone and watching Hua Ting torture himself in the bathroom all night. The next morning, I changed Hua Ting's clothes. What happened last night was posted online. Hua Ting, wake up quickly, Yuning has called you many times. I woke him up. Hua Ting looked at the video posted online last night with a sullen face, smashed his phone hard, and forced out a sentence, she deserves it. I didn't expect Meng Yuning to be so bold. I frowned and said, don't you know she likes you? I always thought you knew, so she's always been hostile to me. Hua Ting shook his head. In the past, I only had Yunchuang in my eyes. Hua Ting's competitor was very good at creating momentum. They hired a large number of online trolls, and Meng Yuning's reputation was immediately ruined. All netizens knew that the good sister who had been loudly claiming to avenge her sister by attacking me, the mistress, had then climbed into her brother-in-law Hua Ting's bed. This was far more explosive and shameless than the story of a mistress. Moreover, Hua Ting had already cleared my name, saying that he would marry me. Netizens immediately joked that there were so many jokes in the wealthy family. Meng Yuning was recognized on the street. She was not only pelted with banana peels but also had videos of her being filmed and posted online. That's why she kept calling Hua Ting over and over again. After the Meng family was abandoned by Hua Ting, it was completely brought down by her useless brother, and she was left with only Hua Ting as a haven. Hua Ting ignored Meng Yuning, but he had to consider his and the Hua family's reputation, so the video disappeared quickly as it did last time. After this incident, he was completely disappointed in Meng Yuning. I sent a text message to Meng Yuning from a strange phone number. I know your secret. Meng Yuning went crazy, asking who I was, what I wanted, and what secret of hers I knew. I deliberately didn't respond. I wanted to torture her. If it weren't for Meng Yuning and Hua Ting, Pei Ran's family wouldn't have gone bankrupt, and Pei Ran wouldn't have died miserably during the painful years when I was beaten by my adoptive parents. It was Pei Ran who saved me. He was like a beam of dawn, driving away the cloudy days in my life. He helped me escape from the shadow of my adoptive parents, rented a house for me to live in, and sponsored my studies in the name of the Pei Group. He accompanied me through the 3 years of high school and took me to taste all the local delicacies. We were admitted to the same university, and he took me to see the world. We saw high mountains, the vast sea, beautiful sunsets, all kinds of wonderful movies and concerts, and listened to touching storytelling. He confessed to me in a Buddhist temple and swore that he would marry me when we graduated. He gave me so much, but he died in the year he said he would marry me. The Hua family, in order to rise to power quickly, brought down the Pei family by unfair means. Pei Ran could only watch his family suffer, but there was nothing he could do. His parents couldn't turn this situation around, so they wanted to send us abroad. On the way to the airport, there was a chain reaction car accident. Pei Ran held me tightly in his arms, taking most of the impact. For me, he was seriously injured, but Hua Ting snatched the last ambulance. By the time the next ambulance arrived from the hospital, Pei Ran had been dead in my arms for a long time. His last words before he died were, I'm sorry, I can't marry you. After Pei Ran died, I would dream of his face every night. I carefully planned and laid out everything, all for the sake of avenging my beloved Bai Yuiguang. Watching Hua Ting fall in love with me and even say he would marry me, I felt both happy and disgusted. I poured a glass of red wine in advance to celebrate and raised my head to drink it all in one gulp. 3 days later, I sent another text message to Meng Yuning. In your dreams at midnight, haven't you ever seen your sister? Meng Yuning kept replying, what exactly do you know? Don't play tricks. Who are you? Meng Yunchuang is dead. What do you want to say? I slowly replied, I saw that heart from my phone. I could clearly see Meng Yuning going crazy and smashing things in her house. I had someone hack into her home surveillance in advance just to watch her being driven crazy. It's impossible. This can't be true. No one knew about what happened back then. No one. She's lying to me. She must be lying to me. Meng Yuning, you have to calm down. You must calm down. She has no evidence. Right. She can't have evidence. She's bluffing me. I watched Meng Yuning pacing anxiously in the living room, then tremblingly reply to me, how much money do you want? I smiled and replied, the person who looks a lot like your sister, is your sister. After reading the messages, Meng Yuning dropped her phone to the ground and let out desperate screams. I continued to provoke her. I heard they're getting married. You'll never get the person you love. This is what you get for doing something wrong. Meng Yuning curled up in the corner, banging her head against the wall neurotically. She smashed everything in the house related to Meng Yunchuang, but she was still terrified. She started having recurring nightmares. She can't be Meng Yunchuang. How could Xie Xinglan be Meng Yunchuang? This is impossible, but they look so alike. If she's not Meng Yunchuang, why would Hua Ting fall in love with her? Meng Yuning was analyzing and denying at the same time, as if suffering from schizophrenia. Meanwhile, every day I was updating my WeChat moments about the wedding preparations, choosing the bridal bouquet, the wedding rings, the wedding venue, taking wedding photos, choosing the honeymoon destination. I showed off various beautiful photos in a high-profile way. Every day, I pestered Huating, asking him if he really wanted to marry me. Huating also pestered me, asking if I loved him. I never gave him a definite answer, but my actions of showing affection in the moments made him feel that I loved him very much. And Meng Yuning, staying at home every day, would scroll through my moments, her face distorted with jealousy. The messages I sent her, which revealed something about Meng Yunshuang's death, hung over Meng Yuning like a shadow, making her suspicious and extremely guilty. Therefore, I became more certain that it was Meng Yuning who had killed Meng Yunshuang back then and faked her death from a heart attack to cover up the truth. The day before the wedding, I asked Huating's assistant to send a wedding invitation to Meng Yuning. According to the assistant, Meng Yuning tore the invitation to pieces in front of him. On the same day, Meng Yuning's brother was arrested, and the house where Meng Yuning lived was sealed. She was driven out. Desperate, Meng Yuning came to the villa where I lived, hoping to find Huating, but Huating didn't want to see her. He pressed me against the French window and kissed me. I glanced at Meng Yuning standing outside the villa and said, "Yuning is downstairs, don't mind her." Huating said impatiently, "But, it's raining outside," I said softly. He said unhappily, "You just need to look at me." I turned around, facing Meng Yuning, and clearly saw that she, drenched in the heavy rain, had a fierce and venomous look in her eyes. "Are you happy to marry me?" Huating asked in my ear. "Happy? Of course I'm happy, because I'll soon drag you both to hell." The next day, Dingwan Hotel. After the senior makeup artist finished my makeup, she praised, "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen." "Thank you." The makeup artist left the dressing room. I looked at the unfamiliar face in the mirror and recalled what I used to look like. If Pei Ran were still alive, we should have gotten married. He must have looked very handsome in a suit. "Is the bride thirsty? Have some drink," said an unfamiliar waiter, bringing me a glass of beverage. I nodded, took a few sips, and wiped my mouth with a tissue. 1 minute later, I fainted in the empty dressing room. When I woke up, I was already sitting in Meng Yuning's car, and my hands were tied behind my back. Meng Yuning was driving a van at a very high speed. "You're finally awake. Aren't you going to ask why you're not at the wedding?" Meng Yuning glanced at me. "You put something in the drink. What do you want?" I asked warily. "You do look a lot like my sister." "Some people say you're my sister." "That can't be true, right? My sister has been dead for so many years, completely dead. You can't be her." Meng Yuning, "What exactly do you want to say?" "Send me back." "Aren't you afraid that I'll call Huating?" I said, trying to stay calm. "I've checked, you don't have your phone." "Don't worry, I'll call for you. I'll let Huating hear your last words." Meng Yuning laughed. Unfortunately, Huating hung up on her calls again and again. "What if I am her?" "Meng Yuning, are you scared?" I stared at Meng Yuning's hands, which were trembling as she held the steering wheel. "You can't be her. She had a heart disease. She died of a heart attack," I said coldly. "Did Meng Yunshuang really die of a heart attack?" Just then, Huating finally answered the phone, looking for the missing bride. "She's in my hands." "Huating," I called out. "Don't be afraid, Xinglan, wait for me." Huating's determined voice came from the phone. Meng Yuning went crazy. "She can't wait for you anymore because I'm going to take her with me to die." Meng Yuning, don't be impulsive, calm down first. "What do you want?" "Money. I can give you money." Huating said anxiously. "You actually think I want money? How ridiculous." "Huating, I've loved you for 10 years, don't you really know?" "But you only had Meng Yunshuang in your eyes." "I hate you, I hate her, and I hate Xia Xinglan even more." "You ask me what I want. I want your love. I want you to look at me." "Why is that so difficult?" "I know it's impossible for us, but I won't let you marry Xia Xinglan. Don't even think about it." Meng Yuning was extremely excited. "Xinglan is innocent, let her go." Huating gritted his teeth. It was so hard for Meng Yunshuang to die. "I've waited for you for so long." But then Xia Xinglan showed up. "You say she's innocent?" "No, just because of her face, she deserves to die." I pretended to be puzzled and asked, "Meng Yunshuang is your own sister. Do you hate her so much?" "It doesn't matter if I tell you. Anyway, my secret has been known, and I can't turn back. The person who knows the secret will keep torturing me." I secretly disposed of the donor's heart back then. I told Meng Yunshuang about it and lied to her that I had a relationship with you. She had a heart attack out of anger and was literally, ha ha ha. Huating cursed. "Meng Yuning, you're insane. Yunshuang is your own sister." "Yes, she's my sister. But why did she have to compete with me for you? She took away the man I loved. What kind of sister is she?" "She knew her heart disease could kill her at any time. I begged her not to get engaged to you, but she wouldn't let go. So, she deserved it." Meng Yuning said cruelly. "Now it's Xia Xinglan's turn." If you have any last words, you can say them now, Huating was still comforting me. Don't be afraid, I'm on my way, don't listen to Meng Yuning, wait for me to pick you up, I said in a trembling voice. Forget about me. The next second, Meng Yuning stepped on the gas pedal hard, the van crashed heavily into the bridge pier and then fell off the cross-sea bridge before losing consciousness. I heard Huating shouting my name heart-rendingly a month later. Lu Huai, Huating's competitor, picked me up from the hospital. I think you look good in your original appearance too, Lu Huai complimented, looking at my face. After falling off the cross-sea bridge, Meng Yuning's body was retrieved after a day and a night. Her face was mosaicked in the news, and it must have been a horrible sight. It was said that to avenge me, Huating even had someone dig up Meng Yuning's grave at night after I recovered from my injuries. I got plastic surgery again and restored my original appearance. The identity of Xie Xinglan was buried at the bottom of the sea. Huating is still desperately looking for you. He's also looking for your fake father. I've already sent him abroad in advance. Everyone who knew Xie Xinglan will think you're dead. No one will think this was just a fake identity, Lu Huai said, reaching out his hand to me. Pleasant cooperation. Do you want to have a meal together? I took Lu Huai's hand and readily agreed. Sitting in the Western restaurant, Lu Huai showed me a video. Huating, who had lost everything, was looking for me confusedly on the street, asking everyone he met. Have you seen this woman? The Hua family was thoroughly investigated, and many dark secrets were revealed. The case of the Pei family from back then also came to light. Justice prevails. The Hua family declared bankruptcy, and countless debts made it hard for every Hua family member to breathe. I used Lu Huai's phone to call Huating. When Huating heard my voice, he was overjoyed. Huating, do you know who I am? Xinglan, you're not dead. I knew you couldn't be dead. Where are you? I smiled with relief and said, you'll never know where I am. I'm not Xie Xinglan. I'm the crazy dog you called me. Go to hell. Huating, I hung up the phone. You've made a great contribution to bringing down the Hua family this time. I appreciate you. What are your plans next? Do you want to work in my company? If we continue to cooperate, we will surely. No, thank you for the help you provided me in the past 2 years. My revenge is over. I just want to live a quiet life. Goodbye, I said. Goodbye to Lu Huai. 2 months later, I heard that Huating had schizophrenia and was sent to a mental hospital. During a bout of illness, he jumped off the top floor of the mental hospital. Another Qingming festival came. I sat in front of Pei Rant's grave, looking at the forever young man in the portrait, and showed him the diamond ring on my hand. Is it beautiful? I got the ring you ordered back then. I like it very much.